Welcome back in. We're on to week 12. Where has the time flown by? Where's the time gone? Anyways, we are here to answer all of your week 12 questions to get you guys ready for this week before the good old Thanksgiving Day slate next week. So let's go ahead and get right to it. I already got some questions in here. So let's start things off. Dak or Purdy, pick two. Devonta Smith, Metcalf, Dobbs, Trey Tucker, or DJ Moore. Full PPR. So for the quarterback for me this week, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy, slightly over Dak. I do like Brock, or I do like Purdy this week. He's actually again something I'm going to be talking about in the video that'll be out tomorrow. Um, I think Purdy looked really good in his return from the toe injury, the turf toe that he was suffering from last week. 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 19 fantasy points, and a blowout. Really by halftime, really didn't have to do a whole lot at that point. So I know on the surface, people will look at this matchup and say, you hear the people talk about another. If you listen to other podcasts or videos, people will say this matchup might be tough because the Panthers have. If you just look at fantasy points allowed, they've allowed the 8th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. However, dig a little bit deeper, which is what I did. The Panthers the Panthers really haven't faced like a lot of good passing offenses this year. I mean, they faced Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Michael Penix, Michael Penix twice, Tua, Justin Fields, Tyler Shook. None of these are quarterbacks that we're scared of or passing offenses that we're scared of. They also faced Drake May and Josh Allen, but both of those games were blowouts. Even in the blowout with the Patriots, he still threw for over 200 yards, 2 scores, 27 fantasy points. And then Dak Prescott was the other one who threw for 261 and 3 scores for 26 fantasy points. So I think this is a little bit more of a paper tiger here when it comes to the Panthers. So I really like Brock Purdy. Their offense is almost completely healthy now with having Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey back. So there's a lot to like here with this matchup. So give me Brock Purdy here at the quarterback position. And then at wide receiver, I'm going to go Devonta Smith against the Cowboys. And then we're going to go DK Metcalf. I really haven't been a big fan of DK Metcalf this year. I know Mason Rudolph is likely going to be the starting quarterback this week. I don't think it's like a huge downgrade from Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you. And the Bears have definitely been in a defense that you could attack. And so, especially in the passing game. And so, I actually don't mind DK Metcalf this week. So, as Trey Benson, I'm going to start over ETN or Jalen Warren this week if he finally gets cleared to play. I don't think he's going to play this week. I was hopeful that he was. Some more comments that came out about him this week. It sounds, I know he returned to practice today, but it sounds like maybe a little bit more likely that he returns next week instead of this week. If he were to play, I wouldn't say he's a must play over. I think Travis Etienne is actually probably a little bit better of an option. I don't think Jalen Warren plays. He didn't practice today. It could be. Now, Wednesdays isn't a day we care as much about when it comes to quarterback or when it comes to running backs or anybody for that matter. Really, Wednesday is not that big of a deal. But him not practicing today, it wouldn't shock me if he didn't play this week. But Etienne, that was encouraging to see. Bashal Tutin did practice today in limited capacity, so I think that's good news. So I do think that limits Travis Etienne a little bit. But if Trey Benson were to play, I would have him ahead of Etienne and Jalen Warren if Warren played. I will say that. But I don't think he plays, so I think he would go Etienne. Usually I start my flex spot, David Montgomery, Christian Watson, Tez Johnson, Hunter Henry, PPR. I think it comes down to David Montgomery and Christian Watson for me. So I have David Montgomery as an RB2. And then I have Christian Watson as a low-end wide receiver too this week. So it comes down to both of those guys for me in terms of who I would play. I do think it sets up really well for David Montgomery in this matchup against the Giants. The Giants have been really bad against running backs, third most PPR points to running backs. Montgomery's averaging about 12 touches per game. It's not quite the 50-50 split like it used to be. It's gone more in favor of Jahmyr Gibbs. He's currently handling about 40% of the snaps. I think it really sets up more. Are the Giants able to keep this game close? Because if they are, I think that better suits um, Jahmyr Gibbs to see more of the workload. Where I think David Montgomery would come more into play if the Lions are able to build a quick lead and just kind of put it to the Giants. I think that's where David Montgomery comes a little bit more viable. When it comes to Christian Watson, though, I think there's a chance if Josh Jacobs doesn't play that they end up throwing the ball at a higher rate this week in this matchup against the Vikings. So I would probably lean Christian Watson. I think he has a higher ceiling where I think David Montgomery probably has a safer floor. But I would probably go Christian Watson. But I do like both of those guys. Harold, Jennings, Olave, Rice, D2, PPR, non PPR. Give me Olave and Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, top 5, top 6 wide receiver this week. And then Olave, as you see, is wide receiver 13 for me. EC, PPR, start 2, Brian Thomas Jr., Pittman, Pearsall. Michael Pittman for sure. And then give me Brian Thomas Jr. Obviously, don't feel as confident about it, but I do think Brian Thomas returns this week, and if he does, it is a really good matchup against the Cardinals for him. Stream Ravens or Saints. Give me Baltimore. As you know, I mean, I talked about the Saints in my video that I did this week for defenses, but I go Baltimore. Harold again. Harold currently starting Henry and Javonte Williams. Would you start either Gainwell or Emmanuel Wilson over them if Warren and Jacobs out? If both of them are out, I would go Kenneth Gainwell. It's mainly because I think the matchup is a little bit better for Kenneth Gainwell against the Bears. The Bears' run defense is nothing to really be all that concerned with. He's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. Where Emmanuel Wilson, I mean, he's definitely going to be the workhorse. That's what we saw last week. I mean, Chris Brooks will get some touches at this game, but I just think it's a better matchup for Gainwell against the Bears and opposed to Wilson against the Vikings. Halfway PPR flex what? Aaron Jones, Tracy, Charbonnet, Worthy, or Tez. Give me Aaron Jones in this one. Rank DST stream. There you go. There's the rankings for you, EC. But it would be Bills, then Saints, then Texans, then Falcons for me. My league starts 3 wide receivers. I have Jason, Lamb, Franklin, Quentin Johnson, Godwin, Reed, IR. I need to drop either Quentin Johnson or Godwin to pick up another wide receiver this week. Am I crazy? Say I'd rather keep Godwin. Yes, I don't want to keep Godwin. I've been saying this all year. I don't think Chris Godwin is going to be Chris Godwin at all this year. I don't care when he comes back. I just think this injury was something we've been talking about all offseason just to completely avoid Chris Godwin. Even when he comes back, I don't think that he's going to be anywhere close to the player that he was. And so prior to this injury, I mean, I think we may never see Chris Godwin the same guy again. I mean, he's 30 plus years old. This is a major injury that he was coming off of. He had to have another surgery again over, after that, after the one he had. And, he's had a setback. Like, I don't really care about Chris Godwin. I think you can drop him. He's not going to come back and bite you. I don't see him hurting you in any way. I would just drop Chris Godwin. I don't want to drop Quentin Johnson. I think Jaden Reed takes on a bigger role once he comes back, which could be this week with Tucker Kraft out for the year. A lot of that short intermediate stuff that we were seeing from Tucker Kraft, I think that goes right to Jaden Reed's wheelhouse. And so I don't want to drop him. I'm not dropping Troy Franklin either. And so I would just drop Chris Godwin. Christian Watson or Ishivas versus New England. Give me Christian Watson. Like I said, I have him as a top 24 wide receiver. I will say it was interesting today to see that Joe Burrow also practiced in full, which I think he plays this week. I think they probably look at it like, they can't lose any more games. They're 3 games now back from the Steelers. They're 2 games back of the Ravens. Now, they still have 2 games against the Ravens, starting one on Thursday night. Thanksgiving night, you get the Ravens and the Bengals that game. And so I feel like this team probably feels like they still have some sort of shot at making the playoffs. I think Joe Burrow actually might play this week, especially the fact that he's getting in full practices on Wednesday. I have Dicker on bye this week. Is he worth keeping on the bench, or go get Myers, Fairbairn for the week, or should I drop Dicker and get one of those for a season? I think you could drop Cameron Dicker, it probably would be Kaimi Fairbairn would be the one that I'd want, just because he's so, like, I think it was like he has 12 field goals already this year of 40 or 50 plus yards. And I think all of his games for the rest of the year but one are in a dome as well. So I would probably just drop Dicker and pick up Kaimi Fairbairn. Is Saints defense worth starting against Atlanta? No, yes. If you go watch the video that I did yesterday, that came out yesterday with this, I think the Saints are very much in play. Kirk Cousins is washed. He's not any good anymore. You also know Drake London. I mean, I know they're going to try to run the ball a lot with Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier is going to be their game plan. But if the Saints are at all able to build any sort of lead and force them to throw the ball, it is going to be big problems for this Atlanta passing offense. And so the Saints defense hasn't necessarily been terrible this year. Like, they haven't been great, but they also haven't really been terrible either. Like, they've been respectable at times. And so I'm perfectly okay with playing the Saints this week. I do prefer the Raiders over the Saints, but it still would be the Saints. I still like the Saints. Chip, PPR, flex, Shakir, Pearsall, Tracy, or Jacoby Myers. Man, I hate playing Thursday night players, but give me Khalil Shakir against the Texans. I think secondly would be Pearsall, but I would lean Shakir. If Bucky plays this week, would you start him over Juckins? Yes. So I think something that people are going to look at with Quinshon Judkins this week and think that Judkins is this elite play because they're playing the Raiders. The Raiders' run defense is actually really good this year. The Raiders' run defense has not been the problem. They've done a really good job against a lot of really good running backs. And so unless Judkins gets there through pure volume, I think that's the only way he does it. Like, I think Judkins is fine, but Judkins isn't involved in the passing game, which is frustrating because he becomes just basically touchdown dependent. And this isn't the best matchup that people think that it is. And so I don't mind him. I still think he's like a top 20 running back play this week. But if Bucky Irving were to come back this week, I would still rather play him. How's it going? Cleveland or LA Rams defense? Also, it's the Cleveland. I mean, I have as my number 2 defense. Myles Garrett is going to have an absolute field day with that offensive line. Also, if Slayton doesn't play, should I go Kadero Hodge? This is where we're at, or Greg Dortch by flex? It's 100% Greg Dortch. We saw it last week. I know. Michael Wilson got all the talk and all of the hype because of the 18 targets, 15 catches, 185 yards that he had. But Greg Dortch still had 6 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Like almost 20 fantasy points last week for Greg Dortch. Really good matchup against the Jaguars. So I like Dortch a lot. So give me Greg Dortch. Who are you starting at tight end now, Roop? Because I mean, I would keep Jake Ferguson in. I think as overall, but who are you starting at tight end? Who do I start? I need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Gentry Swift, Charbonnet, Rico Dowdle, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Addison, Juan Dale. Who do I start at tight end? Andrews or Juwan? So Juwan's a lock at tight end. We'll just put him in. Top tight end, top 10 tight end play for me. Running backs, give me Rico Dowdle. This is gonna seem a little crazy, but I'm gonna go DeAndre Swift. I would sit Gentry. Cleveland has been elite for the most part against the run. I know Derrick Henry was able to get there last week, but it's also Derrick Henry and the Ravens offense versus the Raiders offense. So I'm not that excited to play Ashton Gentry. I think most people probably will have to because 4 teams on bye. You're probably forced to, but I have him at RB21. I'm not overly excited about this matchup for him. Maybe he can get there through the pass game if they utilize him heavily there in PPR formats. Maybe he can get there, but I am really nervous about this matchup for him. At wide receiver, though, I go Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, and then at flex, assuming that Darius Slayton is out, give me Wan'Dale Robinson. Pearsall or Jacoby Myers, give me Ricky Pearsall. Need 3 wide receiver 3 in a standard league with Marvin Harris Jr. out. I would be dropping Fannis. I have Kelsey already. Who do I pick up? Between Leggett, Palmer, Tez Johnson, Adonai, or Dortch. That's close. I would go Greg Dortch, but Tez Johnson's right there too. It's really close. Currently have Shaheed starting at wide receiver 3, but would like a better option if possible. Yeah, the Sheed thing. I mean, they're playing the Titans, and just the thing with the Seahawks. We know the Seahawks really want to be really run heavy, and that's what they're probably going to do. And it worries me a little bit about the pass game. Now, obviously, JSN is going to get there no matter what, but this just doesn't feel like too much of a game where Shaheed is going to see a ton of targets. Now, it's possible. I mean, he's super explosive. You know, he could rip off a 60-yard touchdown and get there, but I'm a little more hesitant to play someone like Shaheed here, especially in a standard league. So I think I would go. Yeah, I would go Greg Dortch. Start Wan'Dale, Emmanuel Wilson, or Mooney. If Josh Jacobs is out, give me Emmanuel Wilson in this one. Would you drop Brian Robinson? I don't have CMC, but I thought I would take his backup in case he does for Tootin. Yes. I like Brian Robinson as a handcuff. I think he's a fine handcuff. One of the better ones in the league. But with Tootin, like we saw what he did last week. I mean, he looked really good. I think this could be a beginning of him starting to eat into more and more of Travis Etienne's work. Now, when I say that, that does not mean I think he's going to completely take the job away from Travis Etienne. Etienne's going to be an afterthought. That's not going to happen. Like he is going to command. He's still going to be probably, but I think there's a scenario where the Jaguars continue to try to be really run heavy for the rest of the year, and you see where Tootin can get like 12 to 14 touches a game, and I think that makes him a pretty viable flex option moving forward. Super Dave, hey yo. Does Fairbairn hamstring issues not concerning? No, because I mean he's been out the last couple of weeks. I think if he was still having any issues there, he would still be out. I don't think they would rush him back for any reason. Matthew Wright was fine, as a backup, as filling in for him at kicker. So I think if there was any concern that he was going to re-aggravate something or have an issue, I don't think I think they would have held him out. With that being said, would you flex Warren, Dobbs, or Trey Tucker? I I mean, if Jalen Warren plays, I would go Jalen Warren. But if he doesn't, give me Romeo Dobbs. Or no, give me Trey Tucker. I'd go Trey Tucker. Mark, Chase Brown, Junkins, Walker, pick TF1 PPR play right now. Wilson over Tet, Pickens, or Nico. I would go Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker at running back. I couldn't play Michael Wilson over Ted Pickens or Nico. I just can't do it. I know he's coming off that huge game, but the thing is with Michael Wilson is he this is that was the first time in his entire career. I mean, he's been around for a few years now. This isn't like he's some sort of rookie or something like that. That he scored over 15 fantasy points in an entire in a game. So like this is not something that we've seen from him a lot. Like I still think he's a very viable like low end wide receiver too this week, but I mean Pickens has been on an absolute heater all year. Um, and I mean this offense has played really well. I know this is in Dallas as well, so I think that helps. But I know Philadelphia's defense has been really good. But we've also seen one team that has been able to do a lot against this team has been the Cowboys. If the Cowboys that first game of the year, this Cowboys passing offense wasn't the problem. They looked pretty good, and so I can't sit George Pickens, especially for Michael Wilson. And Ted, really good matchup against the 49ers, and then Nico is a top 12 wide receiver play for me. So I get it, the worry, but I can't do it over those three. Halfway PPR, drop one of Tracy, Charbonnet, Worthy, or Tez for Jaden Reed. I'd probably drop Tez Johnson for Jaden Reed. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, you have Kittle and Ferguson. So yeah, I'd probably just stick with Ferguson then. Grab the Saints team, but I see you have the Bears and Bills higher. Ravens and Patriots defenses were dropped. That's crazy. Yeah, I would go Baltimore for sure. I don't know why they were dropped. Mark tight end Loveland or fan end Loveland for sure. Full PPR off fantasy or fantasy off or fantasy off waiver wire. Or another. Oh, okay, not fantasy. I get it. Or Noah Fant. I got you. It would still be Colson Loveland for me. Um, Loveland's like a borderline top 12 tight end for me this week. Yeah, I have him at 12. It's a really good matchup. The Steelers have struggled against tight ends this year, so it's actually a pretty good matchup. They've allowed the sixth most PPR points to tight ends, so I like this. I like Colson Loveland. And with Fannin, I think it's somewhat concerning with him that last week once Cedric Tillman came back and Isaiah Bond came back, his route share dropped below 50%. So I thought that was pretty concerning when it comes to Harold Fannin. I stole a win, still mathematically alive. Let's go. Who did you play? 'Cause I know we were talking about Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. Who did you end up going with? I forgot. I was thinking about that last week. Tony, good evening. Is picking up Houston D worth using number one waiver claim? Clinch playoffs, looking ahead for using Ravens this week. No, I would never want to use a number one waiver claim for a defense. If it's like rolling waivers and you don't lose it until you use it, I would not use it on a defense. You're just way better off just holding them. Or just playing matchups, streaming. That's what I was going to say. Todd, Lawrence, Mills, or Bryce Young this week? I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence against Arizona. Like, I know that Bryce Young's coming off that huge game that he had where he threw for a ton of yards, was it 3 touchdowns? Like, I know it was a really big game for him, but he's been awful like every other game other than that. And I know the 49ers defense has not been very good recently and has a lot of injuries. There's a lot of issues there. But I don't see that happening again 2 weeks in a row. And it's still a really good matchup for the Cardinals or against the Cardinals for Trevor Lawrence. I would much rather play the more known quantity, and that's than Bryce Young. Over on Twitch, do I trade McBride for Rasheed and Tyler Warren? I have Trey Benson at flex plus Tet and Lamb for wide receiver, Dowdle and Brees. If you can get Rasheed Rice and Tyler Warren for McBride, I'm doing that without question. And I love Trey McBride. I mean, Trey McBride has, I think, 40 or 50 more points than the next closest tight end to him. Right now, he is currently the tight end, or he would be the wide receiver 6 in PPR formats, as well as running back 6 or running back 7, overall right now. If he was playing another position, that's where he stacks up. Like, he's been a legitimate wide receiver 1. He's been among the elite wide receivers this year. That's how good he's been. But you're getting Rasheed, who I know has not been as good a little bit recently. But the Chiefs the Chiefs schedule the rest of the way opens up quite a bit. And so I like Rasheed Rice. And Tyler Ward's still a top 3 tight end rest of the season. So, yes, I would do that. Hurts my soul to get rid of McBride, but yeah, I'm doing that easily. Playing Tucker and Marks at running back, two full PPR, Dortch, Downs, Fannin, Burden, or pick up Leggett, Gabe Davis, Isaiah Davis, Neal, Keaton Mitchell, Caleb Johnson, Ty Johnson, Bailey, Palmer, Hodge, or Hodgins. Give me Dortch. I think Burden is interesting, but I still need to see more for him. Like, he finally actually he actually ran more routes last week for the first time last week than Olamide Zaccheaus, which was super encouraging. But I think I would still go Downs. Yeah. Give me Dortch and Downs. The double D. And the Caleb Johnson stuff is crazy, isn't it? Like, thought he was going to be something, and he hasn't done a damn thing all year. Augie, since Dicker's on bye this week, should I just pick up Fairbairn? I have an open slot, so I don't need to drop Dicker. Tyler Loop is also available. You know, I kind of already had this one like in a similar way. I'm perfectly okay with dropping Dicker or Fairbairn. I think if you're going to use an extra roster spot, I don't know how deep your free agency is. Like, I don't know how many like your waivers are. Like, I don't know what kind of players are sitting out there. So that would come down to me. Like, I guess if you could, I mean, fine. I guess if you want to roster 2 kickers, I'm not a big fan of doing so. I would rather pick up something a different position to go there, like a handcuff running back or something like that. Very much like this week, like the frenzy for running out and getting Emmanuel Wilson. Like, I would much rather try to have those players stashed on my bench, because then you don't even have to worry about it. If you already had Emmanuel Wilson on your bench, then you're good. And that's where I'm at with this point of the year. Like we're a couple of weeks away from the fantasy playoffs. Like if you're locked into a playoff spot or you're looking pretty good for a playoff spot, I'm trying to stash as many handcuff running backs as I possibly can. Rest of the season, would you drop Johnston for Tez Johnson in Standard League, or do you think Tez won't be a good option once Godwin comes back? I mean, it's definitely going to limit his upside just because, I mean, it's just a little bit more target competition. Like I've already said, like I don't love Godwin, but he's still going to be out there running routes, which is going to take away opportunity from Tez. But I don't want to drop Quentin Johnson. I know things haven't been great for him recently. The the Chargers offense hasn't been great recently either, but I think this bye probably came at a really good time. I think better days are ahead for Quentin Johnson. Ferguson or Schultz and Chase Brown or Marks. Um, Give me Ferguson, and then I would go Woody Marks. It worries me with Chase Brown. So Samaje Perine could be back this week. If that happens, that worries me about the overall production. But what really worries me is the Patriots' run defense has actually been really good this year. I think they've only allowed one running back to surpass 50 total yards in a game. Kind of worries me a little bit when it comes to Chase Brown this week. I'm a little bit lower on Chase Brown than I think the community is. Jake, happy to have Jake back in here. What damn? I just got in. I start Philly every week. I drafted them too early and refused to get off them. Yeah, you don't even list. You don't even list them. They did good against the Lions, who was a top offense this week. Yeah, but that was also a home matchup. Um, it's just it's tough. I think I'm really close. I think I actually have them overall because I only do the top 12. I guess I could always expand that out more, but I always just do the top 12 for defenses. But I have Philadelphia at 13. Or wait, do I not? Let me see something. Oh yeah, I'm at 12. Sorry, that's what I thought when I went to open up my rankings on the other tab. I thought I had him at 13. No, I have him at 12. So I do have him on here. Sorry, it was blocked by the comment. That's why you couldn't see it. But I'm a little bit lower on them just because this isn't a Cowboys are at home. I mean, the Cowboys still have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and historically, Jared Goff struggles on the road outdoors. Like it's just been a thing for him throughout his career. Uh, that's why, like, if you look at Jared Goff the rest of the way, I think every game the rest of the year he plays inside a dome, and so obviously that's a plus for Jared Goff. But Jared Goff always outdoors is a little bit of a problem. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for Philly's defense. I think Philly's defense is really good, but kind of said it before, but we've kind of seen this Cowboys offense be able to at times be able to get over on. They played really well this entire year. The Cowboys offense has. Jay Jettis and Henderson for Chase. I probably would want something else thrown in on that. A little extra something. I know Justin Jefferson has not played very well this year, and most of that is largely due to the quarterback problem. I mean, at this point, I think we call it spade a spade at this point. And JJ McCarthy looks like the next Zach Wilson. Like that's what he looks like. I don't know if he's ever going to actually be good. He's good. I mean, he can pick up yardage on the ground and stuff like that, but he's done nothing impressive whatsoever as a quarterback. And when you have weapons like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, like there's really no excuse that you shouldn't be able to at least be a functional quarterback. So I'm really nervous about that. And then Travion Henderson obviously is coming off two absolute monster games. That's why I feel like I don't hate it, but it does feel like a little steep. CBS told me to start Fannin over Tucker, and I swapped Tucker for Fannin. He just had a bad week. Ferguson outscored Jetty. So I got lucky with Sean Tucker on the bench. But Super Dave, I could have swore we went back and forth. I thought we were talking about going George. I thought that's what we talked about last week because we were talking about like treating it kind of like GP, just kind of going all in for upside. I thought that's what we talked about. I don't know. Let's get back and review the tape. Jake, is Dart back this week? I think you telling me Brissett worked out stacking with Tim McBride. Yep. Jacoby Brissett was a very good play, even though it was all garbage time. But when Jacoby tossed McBride that touchdown, I felt so good. Absolutely. And it's been phenomenal having Jacoby Brissett back there in place of Kyler Murray because Trey McBride has been on an absolute another planet recently. Just, I mean, putting up monster performance after monster performance. I think he's now scored 7 touchdowns this year. Yeah, it's been nice seeing Jacoby Brissett completely unlock Trey McBride. Yeah, I do think Dart is back this week, though. I know he got in a limited practice today. He was a concussion protocol, so that's like the first step of the protocol. You have to go through a limited tomorrow. He should probably get out a full, and then Friday he'll be cleared, I think is how it's going to go. So I do expect Jackson Dart to play. I have JT, Dottle, Ibuka, Woody Diggs, Hampton, Harrison on the bench. JT, Dottle, Ibuka, Woody Diggs, Hampton, Harrison on the bench. So running back. Jonathan Taylor, Dowdle, okay. And you get Hampton back here in the next week or two with Woody Marks. Ibuka, Diggs, and Jamar Chase. Yeah, you know, I make that trade. You have more than enough weapons to go after it. I need a flex necessarily between Travion, Swift, Woody Marks, or Shaheed. I'd go Travion. Do you think Tootin will be do anything? Or Tootin, I was reading another down below, and I saw that. Do you think McLaurin will do anything this season? I don't know. This is like one of those age-old like things, like where we see players that sit out all and hold out all training camp, and then they just tend to have like injuries all throughout the year. It's been this kind of this with Terry McLaurin. It's just soft tissue injury after soft tissue injury. I mean, we'll see coming off their bye if he's able to return. I mean, we're still waiting to see if Jaden Daniels will be able to as well. At this point, I don't know why they would rush any of these dudes back, but I think it's possible that he does. It just depends on what they do because I mean, these coaches are probably coaching for their job too, so they tend to rush these guys back if they can. I like Fairbairn specifically for his 50-yard field goal. Yes, yeah, he's been great there. Toot is available. Luther is available. Should I stash one of them? I'll drop Dicker without a doubt. Yeah, I would. I would like to stash both, like Super Dave said. I completely agree. If you can stash both Tootin and Burden, I would do that. But I would prefer. I mean, I would prioritize them Tootin then Burden. Kickers are wild this year. I took Aubrey early because he could blast for 50 yards. If they have new rules breaking in the ball, everyone is kneeling now. Absolutely. For the longest time, there were like 4 kickers that would have been like tight end 2 or 3 overall, like and scoring. Like kickers have been phenomenal this year for the most part. Luke kicked a 50-yard field goal in the preseason. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities. No, and I mean he has a 68-yarder in the regular season too. I think if he was playing on a really good offense, like I was kind of saying this, like I think if, or no, it wasn't Luke that kicked the 50. It was Cam Little that kicked the 70-yarder in the preseason. Not Tyler Luke, I don't think. If I remember correctly, I think it was Cam Little. But Cam Little, anyways, I was saying because Cam Little has a 68-yarder in the like if Cam Little was on a good offense, I think we'd be talking about Cam Little like we'd be talking about Brandon Aubrey. It was Dortch versus Tucker, but I needed a kicker. The people grabbed Myers and Pinheiro, so I dropped Dortch for Mevis. I had Sean Tucker in up until 12:52, just going with what you recommended. I got Dortch back though. Yeah. Pittsburgh or Saints or Falcons defense. Give me Pittsburgh. That's amazing, and you still got the win because obviously Sean Tucker had a monster day. But Greg Dortch, man, he's always been good. Like I think that's what we were talking about. I think when he plays over 50, when he runs over 50% of the routes in a game, he averages like 13 PPR points per game. It's just he doesn't get as many opportunities as some of these other as other dudes do. And so, but anytime he's been able to come in, like he's produced. He's been a viable fantasy producer. So, and I'll tell you what, like with wide receivers this week, when I was going through like rankings, like it's gross out there this week for wide receivers. Like, I mean, with all of the guys that are out, with the 4 bye week teams, with Ja'Marr Chase getting suspended, like like it's kind of gross out there for wide receivers this week. Just like I was looking through them this week, and it's like I have players that like wide receiver 2 that like normally are like wide receiver 3s or 4 for me. Where's it at? Like I don't know. Like it just feels like a pretty gross week this week for wide receiver. But it's kind of felt like that all year, to be quite honest, for wide receivers. I mean, no way did I think I'd have Michael Wilson in my top 24 wide receivers at any point this year, but here we are. Jacoby Brissett is the new kingmaker for wide receivers, I guess. So that's a thing. Ravens or Saints defense rest of season. Oh, right. Ravens defense. The Ravens defense has played much better. I've kind of talked about this the last couple of weeks. Like this is not the same defense that we saw earlier in the season. The first the first 5 weeks of the year, the Ravens scored negative fantasy points in 4 of their first 5 games. But over the last 4 games, they're actually the number 3 scoring defense in fantasy football. So big time turnaround from the Ravens defense, which feels pretty similar to what they did last year because that's how they were last year. They started off really slow, then they made some changes. I believe they moved Kyle Hamilton from safety into the slot, and I think that took care of a lot of their issues, and their defense kind of took off from there. Also, off topic, but I was thinking about this today. Is next week Thursday slate of games the best Thanksgiving slate we've ever gotten? It has to be the best we've had in like the last 15 years because we get the Packers Lions, awesome matchup, Cowboys Chiefs. You can think whatever you want, but like that's still a really good matchup, fun matchup. Dak versus Mahomes. Should be a lot of fantasy points scored there. And then Thursday night, we should get Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. Like, is there been a better Thursday night, or not Thursday night, but Thursday Thanksgiving slate than that in recent memory? I can't think of one. Because normally, years past, obviously before like the Lions were good, the Lions were always like a terrible, for a long time it was like we got to get the Lions off Thursday, the Thanksgiving Thursday game. But now, obviously, it's not the case, but like still, like usually there's something that's going on with that game or that day where it was like one of the games is not that exciting. But I don't know. I just feel like that this next Thursday, that's like that. Those three games that we're gonna get is gonna be pure cinema. Like it's every one of them are really quality games. That's just I don't know. I was thinking about it. I was trying to come up with was there a better weekend or a better year in recent memory that was better than what we're gonna get next week? But I can't think of it. I can't think of one. And I play a ton of DFS, and if you guys don't play DFS, like Thanksgiving slate's a fun one to play DFS. You can jump in a small, you know, throw a couple dollars in there, and it gives you a little action on Thanksgiving. It's a lot of fun. But anyways, Thanksgiving football is going to be say I agree. Hi again. So would you start Gainwell over Henry or Javante and Optic guard? No, I wouldn't. I would start both of those over Kenneth Gainwell. Flex Pearsall Downs or Tootin. It's close, but I would go Pearsall. Like Tune is interesting to me for sure, coming off what he did last week, and I do think he plays. It's not a bad matchup, quality matchup, but I still would go with Pearsall. I think he makes a little bit more sense. I watch Macy Parade, then watch the games. Yeah, I mean it's and I mean we used to talk about this when Cody was here. We were doing this, but like I'm also not really a big turkey guy. I'm much more of a ham guy. I don't know. I don't know if that's a controversial take, but it seems to be a lot of people love turkey, but I'm just not a fan of turkey. Thanksgiving lineup, great. It was fire this year. My worst Thanksgiving was when they left the Jets, and that was the butt fumble game. I'll never forget. Yeah, old Mark Sanchez. Those years were kind of fun though, because that's when they had like what was it? Wasn't that Rex Ryan whenever he was the head coach of the Jets, I believe. Here's the problem. One of the problems though was the with that game was the 49ers didn't really have to do anything after halftime. It was pretty much over. And so like it was pretty simple. Like it was pretty much the first half, and then they just kind of coasted from there. And I mean, Brock Purdy only threw the ball 26 times, so they didn't really need to really air it out. So 6 point passing touchdown, Dart or Brissett. I think in a 6 point passing touchdown late, I would go Brissett. The only concern I have for Dart, and the one thing I because I do have um, Dart as a top 12 quarterback. But I am concerned, do they let him run the ball? Coming off a concussion, and that's been a big part of his game. I mean, he had 7 rushing touchdowns this year, and that trails only Josh Allen, I think, who has 10. And then he has 50 or more rushing yards in every game. If they don't let him run the ball, then I think that really hurts his upside. Because that's really where a lot of it's come from. And so that's the only concern I have. But I don't really know how that's going to be because he is third among all quarterbacks in design rushes. He averages about 3 a game. And that would be like half of his rushing production because he averages about 6 carries a game on the ground. And so, if they take away his design rushes, which they very well could, that's the only thing that worries me with Dart. So I think you just go Brissett, which is a phenomenal matchup against the Jaguars. Jaguars pass defense is awful. Stafford or Purdy in one league, Brissett or Purdy in the other. Give me Stafford and Purdy. So Kittle's my tight end. I'll probably go Dorsch, put him as my flex. I don't want Ferguson at all. Which I get. I mean, they're playing the Eagles. There's obviously concern there. Purdy or Mayfield have Jennings, and not sure if he's a flex over Jinty this week, but Jinty going against the Browns. Give me Brock Purdy over Mayfield. And yeah, I'd probably go Juwan Jennings over and just do a little stack there and just sit Genty. Like it's just really tough with Genty in this matchup against the Browns. The Browns' run defense has been legitimately top 3 run defense in the league all year. Like they have been really good against the run. And the Raiders offensive line worries the hell out of me. So yeah, I'm perfectly okay with setting Genty. I like Rex as a coach. Problem is letting him get involved in personnel. Yeah. I'm stashing Hunt and Algier as your thoughts. I mean, Tyler Algier is one of the best stashes there is. Offers some flex appeal as well, but I mean, it's one of the better. I mean, I think Tyler Algier this offseason is going to get it back from somebody. He's probably going to be a starting running back on a team next year. I think he's that good. I think he's kind of proven it that he had that 1,000-yard rushing season as a rookie, and then they brought in Brighton and they drafted Bijan. So, but he's been really good anytime given opportunity. So, like, I really like having him in the stash. Hunt's fine. We've kind of already seen it at this point. Like, he is what he is. Like, I don't really know if I'd call it a stash. I think he's just a fine option to have. But like, there's no ceiling play with Kareem Hunt. Like, he's had the backfield to himself the last couple of weeks and really hasn't done anything spectacular with it. He's been fine. He's been usable. He's been startable. But like, there's not much of a ceiling there. Percent Dortch stack, yeah. I mean, Dortch scored, like I said, I think he almost had 20 PPR points last week. Like it was overshadowed by Michael Wilson, but like he still was heavily involved. But then when you throw the ball 57 times and complete 47 of them, I mean, there's a lot to go around. Trade question. I have Allen, Henderson, Brown, Lamb, Jamar, Gatsa, JMO, Marv, Debo, Tootin got offer Pittman plus Bowers for CD. Would you do it? Halfway PPR, one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one flex, one tight end, 10 man on 5 and 6. I don't think I would do it. I mean, you have Gatson, Gatson is a top 5 tight end rest of the way, and I get it, he's on bye this week, and you're probably really searching for a win, and you'd be able to plug in Brock Bowers immediately. Problem is, though, if you traded CD, you're obviously not gonna have Jamar Chase either this week, so because he's suspended. So then you're starting what? Pittman. You can't play Marv. So you're playing like Pittman and Jameson Williams at wide receiver. And like there's a lot to be concerned with this week with when it comes to Pittman. Like I think Pittman's probably the better play of them all, but the Chiefs have still been really good for the most part against wide receivers. It really is going to depend on what they decide to do because for most of the year they've been more of a man heavy team, and then last week we saw them switch to more of a zone. If they're man heavy like they were previously, like if um for the Chiefs, then I think you see more like Alec Pierce. But if they are more zone heavy, then you're going to see more Michael Pittman. I think being like the dominant wide receiver. But anyways, like I don't think this like sets you up for success. But I think overall, once you get past this week, like Gatson's fine. Like Gatson's a top 5 tight end, and then Pittman, is going to be anywhere from like a wide receiver 15 to 20 on most weeks. But their schedule is not great either for the Colts. So I don't think I would do it. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but like with you having Gatson already, I think I just hold. Or BTJ, I can't. Yeah, I would have to go Jennings. I love Brian Thomas Jr. And actually, at this point, I kind of hope he gets traded this offseason because it's not working with Trevor Lawrence. But I would go Jawan Jennings. Dart or Jacoby is a must win with Bride. I would go Jacoby. I believe that's the way I have it. I know I have it really close, but I think I have Jacoby over Jackson Dart. Oh, I lied. I have Dart over him. Okay. This is what I'll say. I've already said it, but like the only concern I have, and with Dart, is that they limit his running, and if they do, it's going to be a problem because I don't know how effective he can just be a drop back and throw it type guy. I think that's honestly what's hurt Lamar Jackson recently is they're just not having him run the ball coming off that injury, and they're just having him kind of be a little bit more of a pocket passer and limit his running, and that's the only thing that I'm concerned with when it comes to Jackson Dart, but Jackson Dart's been phenomenal, but so is Jacoby Brissett. But same time, you also kind of like at some point, when is this going to come back to earth when it comes to Jackson Dart or when it comes to Jacoby Brissett? So I think there's volatility here with both. Um, I think Jacoby's the safer play with the higher ceiling, I think Jacoby's the safer play and the safer floor play. Where I think Dart has the higher ceiling if everything goes his way because of his rushing upside. Thanks for your opinion. I think I'm gonna make the trade for Jamar Chase. I'm in first league, 8-3 projection for a bye week, so I think Chase could help me win the playoffs. Oh, for sure. Especially now they're getting uh, Joe Burrow back. Like that's huge. I know Joe Flacco's been solid, but obviously, he's not Joe Burrow. So go get that chip. Greg Dortch is also available in the league. I'm in Tootin or it's still Tootin. Dortch is only going to be viable until Marvin Harrison comes back, and I think Marvin Harrison will be back in week 13. I think this is the last week you'll see Marvin Harrison out from that appendicitis. Half point PPR tight end or half point tight end this week is Dallas, Ferguson, or Goddard. I would go Ferguson just because he seems to be a little bit more of like the safety valve for Dak, and then is also usually pretty heavily involved in the red zone. Sorry, technically, I know. I think I said 20 PPR points, 1.2 off Super Dave, but hold me accountable. Chris, hey, would you rather have Lamar or Stafford rest of season? I would I have a trade for either one of them. With me trading away Pittman, my current quarterback is Herbert. What would the rest of your team look like, though? That's what I would want to know. Because I don't typically like trading away players for quarterbacks. If Ramondre comes back this week, what do you think the split will be like with Travion playing as well as he has? So again, another player I'm going to talk about in the video I have coming out, but I think that Ramondre, I think my best guess is Ramondre still handles like the short yardage work and he's going to get some goal line opportunities while Travion, so I think still handles all the passing game work. And I think the run game is probably split 60-40 towards Travion Henderson. I don't know how you can kind of go back. It's kind of like the Chuba and the Rico Dowdle stuff. Like, how can you put this back in the bottle? I mean, they spent a heavy draft capital pick on Travion Henderson, and he has showed out the last 2 weeks. I think Stevenson's still definitely going to be involved, but I don't think it's going to be to the level as it was. What are your thoughts on JCM rest of season? I think you could drop him if you had to. I think it's kind of over. It was fun. The hype around him that people had for him, I think, was always a little bit over the top. And this offense isn't really going to be great. And at this point, it looks like they prefer Chris Rodriguez. And we only have a few weeks left in the year. I mean, so I don't think JCM is going to really be a thing. I'm now second in points in my league and eighth. I got to win. I'm very unlucky this year. I think if you're going for, I mean, if you have to have a win, I think I probably go with Jacoby Brissett. I hope I get the Ravens defense when Ravens run. Put a claim in for the Ravens, and if someone claims them ahead of me, I have to claim for the Patriots on Friday. Why somebody drop the Patriots? Then again, they are going against the Bengals. So I would say this though: if Joe Burrow does play, because the defensive rankings I have out, that's with the thought of Joe Flacco playing. If Joe Burrow played, I probably would drop the Patriots down a little bit more. I'm not exactly for sure how it's going to play out with Burrow just because he's been out for so long, and there's going to be some rust there, whatever. But I mean, Burrow could easily drop a 30 burger on 30 points on the Patriots. Maybe not as likely without Jamar Chase back there, with only having T Higgins. So maybe you feel a little bit better about the Patriots defense, but I don't feel as confident with the Patriots if Joe Burrow were to be the quarterback. Do you think Ishivas will have a day with Jamar out? I think he's he's flex worthy, but I don't know if I'd say he's gonna have a day, because I still think they'll get like Noah Fant involved. Chase Brown will be involved as a pass catcher. So I think I think that I would look at it like I think he's a viable flex. Rest of the season, what do you think about CD versus Pickens? I still think it's CD. I know Pickens is coming off that monster game, but CD should have had another touchdown, but he dropped it, right there at like the 2 or 3 yard line. But I still probably prefer CD Lamb to George Pickens. But it's a lot closer than I think people thought it was going to be. But George Pickens was also like, I think I talked about him in like almost every video that I did over the offseason, how much I love George Pickens and how much he was going to smash in this offense. I have Love, Watson, and Reed stack. Start Dart or Love this week. So this is tough when it comes to Jordan Love. Like I said, I think there's a scenario where they throw the ball more, right? But there's also a scenario they don't, if they don't need to. If they just lean on their defense. I mean, McCarthy has been awful. And if they can control the game without having to throw the ball a ton, that's what they'll do. And so I would still go Jackson Dart in this scenario over Jordan Love. You think Stack's better not having to worry about Dart? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would go with Jacoby Brissett. I think it's just the more I think about it, the more I think it through. I think it's one thing I enjoy doing this because it allows me to kind of think through some of these things. And I'll probably end up changing it when you see the video tomorrow. I'll probably end up having Jacoby Brissett ahead of Jackson Dart, just because I think if it was me and it was my team and I had to make that decision, I would start Jacoby Brissett over Jackson Dart. Seems crazy that if you had told me at the beginning of the year if there was any point that I would have Jacoby Brissett as a top 12 quarterback, but the dude has just been nails. He's played really, really well. I know the scores haven't indicated that, but in terms of his overall performances, he's played really, really well. And this sets up as a really good matchup. The Jaguars' pass defense has been not good. Tez Johnson, Parker Washington, or Josh Downs at flex start 2. Give me Josh Downs and Parker Washington. Hey, when I have to play Lamar Jackson, who's off of his bye week, and my HN is on his. Yeah, that's yeah. Bobby Bar, if I play Jennings over Jinty, who do I flex between Jinty and Brees Hall? Uh, Juwan Jennings and Brees Hall is who I would go with. Should I trade Herbert and Brees for Drake May and Tyrone Tracy? Yeah, I would. I'm fine with that. Drake May has been awesome. Might win MVP. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett's averaging like 300 passing yards and like 2 touchdowns per game. It's like 23 fantasy points per game is what he's averaging. Somewhere right around that. So I do think Dart has the ceiling. That's what but he also has a pretty low floor because if he doesn't run the ball, I mean, he could score 10 points. Lineup would be Lamar, Stafford, Brown, Monty, Rodriguez, JSN, Nico, T Mac, Franklin, Bowers. And if you didn't, you'd have Herbert, Chase Brown, Monty. Where's the there we go. That's it. Try to find the original question. There it is. You should just trade away Pittman. Um, I guess you have the wide receivers to take. Yeah, if you want to do that for Lamar, I'd do it. I'm just holding Bill because there aren't a lot of running back stashes. I mean, depends on what you think is a stash, right? Like, I think that there's definitely players out there that I think aren't on anybody's radar that are definite stashes. Like DJ Giddens is one. I know that he's kind of in a healthy scratch, but I think a lot of that's because Tyler Goodson has been more of the a little bit more of the pass catching back. Where I think if something were to happen to JT, DJ Giddens would slide in and be the early down, the goal line back. Like he would be the direct replacement um, for Jonathan Taylor if he were to go down, right? So you have him that nobody really thinks of. He's widely available. He's like rostered less than 1% of leagues. Taj Brooks is another one. If Chase Brown were to get hurt, it wouldn't be Samaje Perine that slid in and was the back, it was the starting running back. It would be Taj Brooks, who they drafted in the 6th round. I think he would be the guy that slides in and takes that role. And Samaje Perine, who's like 32 years old, would stay in the same role. That he would just be the pass catching, third down back. Where Taj Brooks would step in and get like the early down work and stuff like that. I think he's another guy that isn't on a lot of people's radar right now, and those are the type of players that I talk about. Trying to think of some other ones that come to mind. Let's see. Oh, Keaton Mitchell, I think is another good one. Keaton Mitchell is one super explosive. Has been getting limited work recently, but if Derrick Henry goes down, Keaton Mitchell would be the guy to have. I don't think he's going to get quite the workload that Derrick Henry does, but it would be Keaton Mitchell, I think, that stepped in and was that starting running back for that roster. I like him. Um, Blake Corum is another one. Now he's a little bit less, I think, especially in like 12-team leagues, not widely available, but still he's only rostered like 20% of leagues. Devin Neal, I think, is interesting, but it's the Saints, and the Saints really haven't done anything with their running backs this year, so I don't think it's as exciting as the other ones. But I think those are the ones that like really stand out that are like not on people's radar. Isaiah Davis is probably another one, but again, not as exciting. I think really it comes down to DJ Giddens, Taj Brooks, and Keaton Mitchell are like the three that are like widely available. Trade AJ Brown and Jones for Rice, Singletary. I got Rice side. I like that. I mean, you got the better option out of the whole thing. Oh, when Trey Benson probably starts, would you get 12 or more full PPR points on average or better? I mean, you should get better. I mean, he was looking like he was going to be like the workhorse, and then he got immediately hurt. Okay, if I don't get the Ravens, should I grab the Bears or hold the Saints? I would just hold the Saints. I'm rooting against Bucky, Benson, and Tootin this week. Sorry, guys. Oh well, I have no fab money left, so I have to play at 2 weeks ahead. Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense. JCM's been fraudulent pretty much this whole season. I have to drop him for Chris Rodriguez himself. Yeah, I mean, Chris Rodriguez clearly looks like the lead back here in that backfield for sure. Pete Carroll wants his old team back. He has Gino and Lockett. I know. They might see what old Marshawn Lynch is doing out there. I really think that Pete Carroll's going to get fired after this year. He probably needs to be. Well, like we shouldn't be hiring 74-year-old coaches in the NFL. It's been some back about 1 hour forever. I'm waiting on Bucky else. He's getting really close. There's a chance that his win that he plays this week, but I bet it's probably more week 13. Ray Davis, that's another good one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's another one. I think Ray Davis is another really, really solid one because kind of the same situation. I think people, whenever the James Cook stuff happened a couple weeks ago, they thought James Cook wasn't going to play. Everybody was like, "No, it's Ty Johnson." Like, no, I don't think Ty Johnson's role changes at all. If uh, if James Cook went down, I think it'd be Ray Davis that stepped right in. PPR drop one: Sean Tucker, Tootin, Chris Rodriguez, or Brian Robinson Jr. Oh man, it would have to be Brian Robinson Jr. Yeah, and just pray that Christian McCaffrey doesn't get hurt this week. I might do Mitchell because he's working in and the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens schedule the rest of the way is awesome. Jake, I forgot I did this. I was super drunk last night. That is something good is going to happen when any message starts out with "I got super drunk last night." And traded Junkins for Baker, so I got 3 quarterbacks. I got Baker as long time Dart insurance. I like Jacoby this week with matchup. Yeah, I would stick with Brissett. He was a Raider there at one point. Bam Knight worth a. Assuming that's not Brandon Knight, I'm guessing that's supposed to be Bam Knight. Is that what you were looking for there? Yeah. I was like, are you doing some like really deep stuff that I'm not in on? Brandon Knight, and that's also former NBA player too. I mean, did he switch over to the NFL? I wouldn't say he's worth a stash. Like he's like, I think he's a really solid like flex play this week. But I think once Trey Benson comes back, like Trey Benson's taking that job. And I don't know how viable Bam Knight would be because Amari DiMercado, when he's back, is going to be like the pass catching back. And I would still think, um, uh, yeah, played for the Suns, played for the Pistons, former Brandon Knight. Yeah, hey, I get it. I mean, He was a baller. Adams or Chase Brown, rest of season PPR. I mean, that's tough. I think wide receiver to running back questions are hard. But I would probably go like I'd probably go Devontae Adams. Just a because what's been great with Chase Brown recently has been he's been like the absolute workhorse. When Samaje P. Ryan comes back, like what does it go back to being what it was? Where it's more of Chase Brown losing pass catching work and stuff like that. Because if that's the case, it really limits Chase Brown's ceiling. We don't have to worry about that with Devontae Adams. Question was really about how bad you think Junkins for Baker is. I don't think it's that bad of value. Like I said, I do not like trading for a quarterback. I think in most leagues there's plenty of replacements sitting out there, and you already had two quarterbacks, and so I don't think that it was like necessarily a need for you. And then to trade a running back is always tough too because they're much less of you know abundant commodity. So I wouldn't have done it. But I don't think it's not like the world's worst trade either. Like it's not like you got completely robbed. Any word on Pinheiro replacement? Yes. San Francisco likes field goals. Yeah, it's Matt Gay. Yeah. Or it sounds like it's going to be. You signed to the practice squad, which I don't know how many more opportunities this dude can get. He was not good last year with the Colts. And then um and then he somehow gets a 1 year $5 million deal from the Commanders, which just again shows you the ineptitude of that front office they have there. Because what are we doing giving a kicker $5 million? But whatever. Um, but Matt Gay has never been accurate as a kicker. Um, I think last year he was like 73% um, conversion rate, and this year it's right around the same. Like he's been really brutal, and that his contract this year is like fully guaranteed. So the Commander, it is what it is. It's a 1 year deal, but I mean the Commanders are eating the rest of his contracts to get away from him. So um, I was hoping the Commanders were going to bring back Austin Seibert, but Austin Seibert ended up, I think, retiring. I think I saw because I went and looked it up. Thoughts on Rice and Allen for May and CD? Are you worried about the Broncos Week 17 matchup for Rice? I mean, sure, but like, it's not like I'm not going to put all the. So let's face it, if you make it there, you made it to the championship. So, a lot of things could change. That would be also at home for the Chiefs, I think, and it would have been a better day for Rashee Rice this past week. He dropped a couple that he normally would have caught. That didn't help, but um, I would probably still rather have the Rashee Rice and Josh Allen side. Is considering a trade partner for Jinty Chris? No, but like it's tough because he's coming off like a down game. Like if you're going to trade him, like you want to trade him like these players when they're coming off big weeks because that's what people remember. If he's coming off a bad week, people aren't going to value the same that they probably should. Um, like if you can try, like I think it's definitely like worth considering, but it would just really depend on what you could get for him. I wouldn't want to just give him away just for the sake of getting out from under him. Love Seibert last year. I know. Like Austin Seibert was a dog last year. Like he was. I remember last year because I was doing the kicker videos with like I do this same thing I do this year. And like for like 5 straight weeks, I was like pounding the table, like because I was like, why does nobody want to pick up Austin Seibert? He is easily the number one kicker in fantasy football. He was averaging like 12 fantasy points per game, and for kickers, that's awesome. And I'm like, what is happening? Like he was like under 20% rostered, and every week, another big week, another big game, another big game. He was scored like double-digit fantasy points every single week, and then finally he gets picked up in like 2 weeks, and finally when he gets up to like 50, 60% last year, then like 2 weeks later he got hurt and he was out for the rest of the year. I was like, sad times. Tez was bad this past week, but should we expect that to continue? He chose to drop him over Worthy and Sharp earlier. Are you low on Tez? Worthy is disappointed. It's not. It's just more so with Tez. Like I think there's um he's been super touchdown dependent. Like that's where his volume is. That's where his production has come from. Like the most he's topped in a game is 58 receiving yards. Right? Like he's not being utilized. It's mainly his three best games. There's no surprise that those 3 games came when he scored a touchdown. So like he's extremely touchdown dependent, and so that's what would worry me with him. I have Harvey, and it looks like Dobbins is done. I got Henderson. It seems like Bucky is back. I probably should have kept Junkins, but Baker is pretty good backup if Dart runs into a brick wall. Yeah, I don't hate it. Like I said, like I don't think it's the end of the world. I think you're fine. I think there's worse trades that you could have made. Especially being super drunk. You know, that's what could go wrong there? It's like showing up to your draft day party and just getting hammered. The next thing you know, you drafted 5 kickers and 4 quarterbacks. I don't acknowledge Bucky being back. Oh, is that because you have Sean Tucker and you don't want Bucky to be back? See, I don't think even when Bucky comes back, like I think Sean Tucker's still going to have a role. Like I think Rashad White is going to be the one that gets his feelings hurt here, and I think Sean Tucker is going to, and especially at least early on. I think Sean Tucker, like this week, if Bucky Irving came back this week, I think that he still would be the guy. Do you think Pearsall was a plant Jennings toward the end of the year? Although I guess it's almost the end of the season, isn't it? I mean, I will say that Jennings, like for the first 4 weeks, was like leading, like was like third in the league in receiving yards. Like he was playing really well prior to his injury, and so I definitely think there's a scenario where he supplants Juwan Jennings towards the end of the over the next couple of weeks. It's definitely in the range of outcomes. We'll also have to see what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk, but at this point, I don't really have a whole lot of hope that Brandon Ayuk is ever going to play. It's going to play at all this year. It's funny because it was like, oh, week 10 he's going to be back, and then week 11, and we just keep moving and moving, and they keep saying he's making progress, but at this point, I mean, we are on to week 12, and he still is not back. So I know there's still 7 weeks left of the regular season, but at this point, it's finding it harder and harder to believe that Brandon Ayuk is going to play football this year. Harvey's not taking a full workload. Just glad Dobbins is finally out of the way. I don't think Harvey probably will either. Though I will say that he played like it was like 36 snaps to just like 16 for Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty or Bidet, however you want to pronounce it. But the frustrating thing though with Sean Payton is Sean Payton does Sean Payton things and will be completely maddening at times. I'm not acknowledging Benson and Tootin because those are the only two running backs my opponent has that isn't on bye this week. No, I don't think he is either. I don't think he's going to be like some workhorse. Let me put it that way. Like I don't think he's going to be playing or handling like 20 touches a game. Like I don't know if that's going to happen. Sean Payton has just never been that guy. He always looks for a committee, and it's frustrating because there really, honestly, should be no reason that Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty are out here. This should not be a three-man backfield. Shouldn't. It should be RJ Harvey, the guy you just spent pretty decent draft capital on, being out there. But this is what you come to expect from Sean Payton. Bye week bump for Harvey, just like he did. I mean, but there's a difference then. I mean, they don't have anybody else, like that's the problem. Like, and so like you would think that he would, like last week he's played 60% of the snaps, which obviously is really good, but like I don't know what much more of a bump is coming. Now I'll say that last week was not a great matchup for RJ Harvey. I mean, the Chiefs run defense legitimately been really good this year, outside of when Josh Allen, and James Cook. Other than that, like they shut down Derrick Henry, they shut down Saquon Barkley, they shut down the Lions running backs. Like the Chiefs run defense is really good. And so better days are going to be there for RJ Harvey. And RJ Harvey is also like super explosive. I don't necessarily think he's the type of player that needs like a huge workload. He's not like Kyron Williams who's volume dependent. So I think even if he doesn't see like a massive workload, I still think that he's going to be valuable, and he's still going to be somebody that I think you're going to look at as like a pretty solid RB2 play every single week. I want Harvey to be Kamara, but he's not as talented. I was the guy who drafted him his rookie year. Yeah, he's not Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's super explosive player, but I don't. He's not Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is an absolute stud. No, he's like it's kind of like the same bucket of like a. I think that Harvey could be like an Aaron Jones type, right? Super like not quite to like the Devin Achan level, but like definitely a player that it does more with less, like an efficient running back. Somebody that doesn't need 20-25 touches a game to get there. Like he can get there with on 15 touches a game, and I think that's still RJ Harvey. He's still super explosive. Um, and he's a awesome out of the as a pass catcher. His only issue is going to be is do they truly trust him on third downs? That's where the problem's going to go. Like, do they trust him to protect and be able to pass protect for Bo Nix? Like, that's going to be the problem, and that's why you've seen other players take on some of that role. But RJ Harvey has done a better job of doing that. Yeah, Ben Johnson said the burden is over. He definitely has. Like it's ridiculous that Olamide Zaccheaus has been out here. Uh, we've been gaslit all year by by Ben Johnson when it comes to this because Luther Burden is a very good wide receiver. Like I think next year we're going to be talking about Luther Burden as like is going to get a lot of hype, and he's going to be because I think DJ Moore will be gone. I think they'll get rid of DJ Moore. And I think it's going to be him and Rome Odunze in that offense. And I think you're going to be seeing Luther Burden playing in the slot. And we very well could see some sort of like a Amon St. Brown rookie season type of bump for Luther Burden down the stretch, because that's kind of how it went for Amon St. Brown. I mean, whatever his rookie year, because let's go back to his rookie year. Because I mean, his rookie season, like he got a little bit more work what um than what Luther Burden did early on. But like he didn't really he had a couple games, but then it was pretty quiet. But then like week 13 is when he exploded and scored 24, 15, 23, 26, 35, and 26 his rookie year. And like at the very end of the year from weeks 13 through 18. I'm not saying he's going to put up that kind of production, but I think it very well could see like a pretty big bump and pretty big because DJ Moore doesn't fit the offense. Like he's not a good fit for Ben Johnson, and I really think that we could see Luther Burden like really start to put up some really useful weeks here rest of season. Full PPR, Chase Brown, or if Samaje Perine is back, Scott, I would go with Emmanuel Wilson. If Perine isn't back, I would go with Chase Brown. I love Burden. He's like DJ Moore, Debo, Amon-Ra. Yeah. I remember the Amon-Ra breakout. Yeah. And he was what, like a 5th round pick? I think he was what he was. 4th round pick. Yeah. Who'd you say are interesting teams that DJ could be traded to? I don't even know off the top of my head. Uh, the the Steelers could definitely be one. Drop the like. Appreciate that. Yeah, I never say that either. But if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. I do appreciate that. I just got to trade. I get Achane and Jennings, and I give them Jefferson and Bucky. Do I do it? Yeah, I do it all day. Yeah, I don't know why I even had to think that hard about it. If you can get Devon Achane, I'm doing it. Devon Achane's like a top 3 running back rest of the way. I mean, Jefferson at this point, I think you have to view him as like a low end wide receiver 1 at this point. With JJ McCarthy back there. And Bucky, I think he'll be fine, but I think there's also the scenario with Bucky that it's more of a timeshare and less of what it was at the beginning of the year, because he's coming off that injury. Yeah, he is an absolute monster. He was, I mean, Jaden Higgins worth a stash. I have CD, London, Booty, and Watson. I think he's worth a stash. Like he's starting to see a little bit more opportunity. It's frustrating that like Xavier Hutchinson is still or was seeing more work and getting more routes than him, especially for a team that's so devoid of talent outside of Nico Collins at wide receiver. I think both him and Jalen Knoll deserve to, like Christian Kirk should be out there running way more routes than they are. But it has been encouraging with Jaden Higgins, at least, anyways, that 3 of the last 4 weeks he's 13.4, then the 1.4 against Denver, which I mean they did nothing against Denver, but other than that, then the 15.2 against Jacksonville, then against Tennessee, he nearly had 10 fantasy points, 455. in that game. So I think Higgins definitely is worth a stash for sure if he's sitting out there. Looking ahead for week 14 bye, would you rather stream Tua, Tyrod, or Mariota? Oh man, I'll have to go look. I don't even know what the schedule is for that far out. Okay. So the Dolphins play the Jets. Who do the Commanders play? Commanders play the Vikings. Oh man. Only thing that worries me about that with Tua is like you don't know what the weather's going to be like because it's going to be in New York. Tua is terrible in cold weather games. I guess I go Mariota just because of his rushing upside, but I'm also trying to see what other maybe stuff might be out there. But there's not a lot that stands out, I guess. It's probably the best bet you're gonna have. Yeah, I would probably go with Mariota just because of his rushing upside. I think Higgins is the wide receiver too now. Very well could be. I mean, the last couple of weeks, I mean, last week he played 62% of the snaps, ran 60% of the routes, 7 targets. He's seen what 7 or more targets in 3 of his last 4 games. So definitely does look encouraging. I will say that. It's crazy that Bears can release Swift, Cole Kmet to get more salary cap, like you said, and trade DJ Moore. It could be a way different offense next year. Yeah, I think it's going to be. In my single quarterback league, I have Drake May. Someone just dropped Sam Darnold. Should I pick up Sam? Who did the Seahawks play that week? What is that? Week 14? Yeah, I'm already on it. Seahawks play the Falcons. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, pick up Sam Darnold if you want. If you have the spot to do it, yeah, pick up Sam Darnold because the Falcons' pass defense has been is not good at all, and we just saw Bryce Young drop some insane numbers, and it's going to be inside the dome for Sam Darnold, um, week 14. Yeah, I'm totally okay with stashing Sam Darnold for the bye week. It's possible, but at like some point, like why are we even like bringing him back out here? I mean, the Commanders are cooked, you know. Um, why bring your rookie quarterback? Like the Commanders need to fire everybody for one, and then they just need to like blow up that roster. They're 40. Like, is Dan Snyder running this team again? Like, that's do you like? Do you remember like years ago when like the Commanders went out and like signed all these dudes that were like super old? Like this is what it feels like. I mean, they brought in Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler and like Debo Samuel, who's 30 plus years old. Like it's the oldest roster in the league. Like what are we doing? Like how are we maximizing our rookie? Like there's no bigger cheat code in the NFL than having a quarterback on a rookie contract because it allows you to spend so much money at your other positions that you're not because you're not paying your quarterback. Where all these other teams are paying their quarterback 50, $60 million a year, where you're paying your rookie quarterback, $10 million a year. And like it blows my mind when these teams do not maximize their rookie contract quarterbacks. Like I don't get it. Like I think the Patriots are doing a good job. They went out and spent a lot of money this offseason and spent it wisely. Really, all they need now for Drake May in this offense. I know Stephon Diggs has been pretty good for this offense, but they need that like elite wide receiver for Drake May, and I think they really take off. Um, I guess at least when it comes to the Bengals, that like you at least feel like you maybe because that division, they're 2 games behind the Ravens, and the Bengals still play the Ravens twice, so they could if they beat them both those games, you theoretically catch them, and then the Steelers are 3 games ahead, and so and I don't know if anybody believes the Steelers are gonna like the Steelers could definitely go on a losing streak here, so like I don't think it makes sense. I think it's probably more Zach Taylor really wants to save his job, and then Burrow wants to come back and play, and so I don't know. Do you like Kyle Pitts or Juwan Johnson or season? I own both. Wondering if I should drop one to stash someone else. I mean, I like Juwan Johnson better rest of the season, especially now that Kirk Cousins is going to be the starting quarterback the rest of the season. Uh, I just think he's absolutely washed. And Juwan is like the number 2 target here on this offense. I know that Kyle Pitts is going to be probably like the number 2, but I mean things weren't great with Kyle Pitts when it came to when Kirk Cousins was on the field. So yeah, it's just like I mean the Commanders have done really dumb things. Like I don't get it. Like they had the opportunity, like as well as everything went last year, it couldn't got any worse this year. I mean, they were what in the NFC Championship game, or was they? No, they won the NFC Championship, or was it the NFC Championship game? Anyways, they made it through the playoffs. They knocked off the Lions, and you know everything was looking great. And then they had this opportunity to add more and surround Jane Daniels with more talent. And I don't really feel like they did that at all this offseason. That's what I thought. I thought it was the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, and it was, and they, um, but it is what it is. So hopefully they fire everybody and they figure this thing out because this old ass roster they have, and then trading all they did for Marcus Lattimore was also ridiculous. I don't know. It's just been really bad roster management and roster building um, for the Commanders. So that being said, I think it's gonna do it for tonight. Almost 2 hours. I can't say this. I don't think the video that I was gonna do is gonna get done now tonight. I think it's gonna have to hold off to tomorrow. That's probably gonna come out Friday morning because I still need to write up like the wide receivers and the tight ends because that's what happens. I had to work from home today, and my 5-year-old was home, and you don't get as much done when that happens. So um, if I made myself stay up and do all that plus record a video plus edit it, it would be like three in the morning probably at the earliest that I'd get done, and I don't think that's gonna work. Um, so I think I might have to wait and just put it out one day later, which sucks, but it is what it is. Um, Next week though, we're gonna push everything out as early as I can because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So we'll probably I'll probably put out the defense and kickers video that I normally do. It'll probably come out Monday or Tuesday morning like normal. But I may try to do this other video earlier. I don't know. We'll see. Because I don't want to put out the video that I do the pretty much everything report of the quarterbacks, running back, wide receivers, tight ends video like Thursday morning. It's Thanksgiving morning. There's 3 games that day, so I'm gonna try to get it out sooner and put it out Wednesday morning instead of putting it out Thursday morning. So to help everybody out, but oh, we'd be live next. Oh yeah, we'll definitely go live next Wednesday. I mean, I don't have anything going on, right? That's night before Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'll definitely go live next Wednesday night for sure. For that one. So but just things get a little jacked up because Thanksgiving week we always do our big DFS daily fantasy stream with a lot of the boys. We get on. It's like a tradition. We'll go live for like 3 hours. It's ridiculous. Whatever for 3 games. But we'll do that Tuesday night. And so it takes up some of my time when I normally would do other stuff. But anyways, I'll stop rambling. But I'll definitely be live next Wednesday night. But if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Really appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's rocking here. Appreciate the chat. But yeah, and we'll be live tomorrow night for the DFS for the Week 12 DFS main slate breakdown as well. So you can check that out. But if you haven't, like, subscribe. Have a good night. Let's get some W's this week. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.